Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news Monday through Friday. And this is Tell It All Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for joining me here this Tuesday. So, with that, let's get into it. We've got some videos here that I wanted to check out on X, and I wanted to start out with Representative Omar. It says the last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked during World War XI. She must have gotten her education at the Quality Learning Center. We've only had 2 world wars. Just 2. Not 5, not 6. Just 2. And she does say this. This is not AI. She actually did this.
The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI. The last time the Alien Enemies Act was invoked, it was used to detain and deport German, Japanese, Italian immigrants during World War XI.
Now, I know everybody's going to make excuses for her. Well, it was just written down. She was just, look, this is just history. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would know we've only had 1 world war. I think she meant to say World War II. Yeah, she meant to say World War II, but she didn't understand that those 2s, those were Roman numerals, which actually stands like 1, 2, 3, 4, down the line. Just saying. But that's where that came from. Okay, on to our next video. Now, this one is very scary. This was posted April 25th. It says, shocking, Boston schools are brainwashing little kids as they teach kindergartners to chant and wave anti-Trump protest signs in class. Fire every activist teacher involved now. Children deserve better than leftist cult training. Why aren't they learning how to read? This is why our babies can't read and write by the 3rd grade, by the way. This is why, because we're focused on the wrong things. This is the wrong stuff, okay? They need to be learning phonics and learning how to read at this point. I skipped kindergarten personally because I could read and write, right? Like I never experienced kindergarten, so I can't sympathize with the kindergartners. I went straight into the 1st grade from preschool. Just saying. No Donald Trump! 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 And what do they even know about Trump, right? What do children know? Are they learning it from their parents? Why are they doing this in school? Why are they taking time out to do this during class time? Again, our babies aren't reading and writing proficiently by the 3rd grade, and they need to be, because if they're not, they're lost. Because everything gets harder, not easier. Okay? So for teachers out there, educators, we need better. But see, the money isn't going to the educators. It's actually going to the administrative bodies, with the superintendents that don't deal with the children, the administrative bodies that don't deal with the children. But the teachers are scraping by. This is why our educational system looks the way it looks. And you wonder why, by the time these children get to high school, why they're rebellious, why they don't listen, why they take out their phones, why they're fighting in class. It's because it starts here. That's why. Very, very, very sad. The next one I want to get to, this is about that car kill switch. And this video is very interesting, which is why I wanted to play it, but I wanted to read the caption first. It says, Ford's nightmare truck is here. They just patented a truck that you won't own, but it will own you. AI cameras read your face, eyes, emotions, and fitness to drive. Won't let you shift out of park if it thinks you're not calm enough. So live feeds to insurance companies and the cops biometric scans running you against criminal databases in real time, lip reading tech and mics that eavesdrop on every conversation for targeted ads. You paid for it. You have the title, but Ford decides if you actually get to drive it. Drop a if Ford can. Oh, okay, we're not doing that. All right. That's a lot. That's a lot, MJ Truth Ultra. But yeah, so let's check out this video.
Come on! No, 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 no! Now imagine there was an emergency outside the truck, an accident, something terrible on the ranch with a chainsaw. And I jump in this truck, but the truck, it won't shift into drive. Why? Because the cameras and sensors inside this cab won't let it shift, because it detects my eyes are big, there's a lot of emotion, there's some panic, and it doesn't feel that I'm fit to drive. Now that's not science fiction, that is happening because Ford just filed the patents. Ford actually has a series of patents down at the US Patent and Trade Office that deal with the sensors and cameras inside the cab of their truck. And if the sensors in that truck determine that you're not fit to drive, that truck will not actually shift from park to drive. Now, they already have a system called telematics, and that's where they can actually pull up cameras in real time inside the cab of their fleet vehicles. Now, they actually market this to insurance companies because the truth is, this is really about who owns the data and who owns the liability. Now, your name might actually be on the title of this truck, and you may have paid for it, but you don't own it. Now, Ford didn't file just one patent. They filed a stack of them, all within months of each other. Are you sitting down? Get this. This Ford technology patent doesn't just watch you. This one puts you in jail. Ford filed a patent, serial number 0104469, where the system takes your biometric data, your face, your iris, and your fingerprint, and it runs it through a criminal database in real time. While you're sitting in your own truck, think about what that means. You wake up one morning, you walk out to your driveway, you climb into a vehicle with your name on the title, on property with your name on the deed. And before you go anywhere, before you've done a single thing wrong, your truck is already running your face through a law enforcement database. Ford's own patent language describes this as potentially useful for police. They wrote that. Ford wrote that into the patent application. So the question isn't whether this technology can be abused. Ford already told you who it's for. You just didn't know that you were buying a cop car. Now I'm going to walk you through a few of these patents. Lip reading, cameras inside your cab, machine learning trained on lip movement datasets, cloud connected, your face processed somewhere you'll never see, stored as long as they want. Acoustic lip reading, if the cameras aren't enough, the system emits inaudible sound waves and reads the echoes bouncing off of your mouth. You can't see it, it's just happening. Biometrics, your face, fingerprint, iris, filed February 2024, and it was published August 2025. This one is assigned a serial number because it's real. Ad listening, this is scary. It monitors conversations between everyone in the cab. It serves targeted ads based on what you and others are talking about while you're driving. In Ford's words, maximum opportunity for ad-based monetization. No description of how that data is protected either. None. How about Ford Pro Telematics? Now, this one isn't a patent. This one is actually a product page. Right now, fleet managers can pull live in-cabin video feeds of drivers on their phones. Ford markets seatbelt compliance alerts with the explicit benefit of lowering insurance costs. They said it themselves. This is the infrastructure, and once the infrastructure exists, it's going to get used and abused. Now, Ford isn't alone in this. This is an arms race. Smart Eye driver monitoring software is already in over 2 million cars globally. The EU's general safety regulation mandates drowsiness systems as standard equipment going forward. GM deployed biometric seat sensors and heart rate monitoring in production trucks.
Yeah. So it's already happening. The Fourth Amendment has been completely violated. Like I told you guys months ago, we've signed away our Fourth Amendment right with terms and conditions. Because in the terms and conditions, it states if you don't sign off on this, you can't use the product. So I guess here's my thing. Don't buy it. Don't purchase it. See, the one thing that Ford doesn't understand, humans don't have to buy your product. They don't have to use it. And it can sit there and rot. Okay? So thanks for all the patents, for all the, dystopian computers, but you can't force us to use your product. You can't. Humans will walk and use a horse before we subscribe to this. Look, everybody will be Amish. And if not, they'll figure it out. I'm just saying. We don't have to go along with this. So thank you, but no thank you. Now, for this next video, this is also about the kill switch, right? All vehicles made in 2027 will be required to have a kill switch. All vehicles manufactured in 2027 will officially be required to come equipped with advanced impaired driving prevention technology. Under this new law, automakers must install systems that use cameras and AI to monitor driver behavior, which we just talked about, tracking things like eye movement and attention levels, which we just talked about. So we know they got the patents for it. And Congress is going to pass a law to go with all of this. So if impairment is detected, the system will activate a kill switch and prevent the vehicle from operating. A kill switch in your car controlled by AI and cameras watching your every move. When was that ever a good idea? Never, right? And no, it definitely will not be used for anything else. They would never remotely disable your car for any other reason, right? Not during a protest, not during a lockdown, not ever. Absolutely nothing can go wrong, right? Now, the gentleman in that previous video, I'm glad he broke down a lot of the patents, but those patents need the help of Congress.
What's official, you guys? Kill switches are coming to new vehicles. Something you'd expect out of Orwell's 1984, and yet 57 House Republicans joined Democrats to ensure the government can shut off your vehicle whenever it wants, makes cars more expensive, and puts the government in your car.
There's a law that states that every vehicle manufactured is going to have a kill switch in it. The car itself will monitor your driving. And if the car thinks that you're not doing a good job driving, it will disable itself. So the car dashboard becomes your judge, your jury, and your executioner.
This sounds an awful lot like that new movie 𝗕𝗁 that just came out, which takes place in the not so distant future, 2029 to be exact, where he has to prove himself innocent to the AI judge, jury, and executioner. Now, this mandate for vehicles to be able to shut themselves off was actually put into law in 2021 under the Biden administration, under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Now, what was voted on the 22nd was the funding for this, to which Representative Massey from Kentucky offered an amendment to just the funding for the kill switch portion of the Investment and Jobs Act. And that's what was voted on. And this is how the votes went. So these are all the ones that voted against stopping the funding. And these are all the ones that voted for stopping the funding for kill switches. Now, the argument for this is that it will stop drunk and distracted driving, but no one knows yet how far this technology will go. Will it include cameras? Will it include sensors? Will it include breathalyzers? Will your insurance company have access to this? Will your Fourth Amendment constitutional rights be violated?
Next thing is going to be, well, we need to hook this thing up to the government so we can dispatch the police. I'm just going to tell you what's going to happen next. They're going to be shutting your car off when they decide whatever they decide from wherever they decide it. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about what you think about due process and the Constitution and the Fourth Amendment and the right to not be imposed upon by illegal, unlawful search and seizure, but punishing everybody for this crime, whether they've committed it or not, if they're going to commit it or not, should be unconstitutional. This shouldn't really be a question.
Will this end up being government overreach, you guys? Really think about this, because Massey brought up a good point during his talk where he was saying, what if you're a mother, you want to go get some stuff because a snowstorm is coming, you swerve to miss a pothole, you swerve to miss an animal, you do something that the car doesn't like, and then the car then shuts itself off, and then what? You have to sit on the side of the road and wait for the police to come and deem that you are worthy to drive. Will this throw your Fourth Amendment right to unreasonable search and seizures out the window because your car said so?
It's done. It's done. Ford has already filed the patents. The patents are in place. They just needed the law to support it. We're here. We are here. And I wanted to end with Nick Shirley. Of course, he's found something else. So Nick Shirley found 108 people registered to vote in one home. 108 people, one house. Okay. A woman wanted to show how easy it was to commit voter fraud, that she registered her 2 dogs and they voted. A woman voted in 4 times, but she was already dead. Yeah, these things are happening on top of all this other stuff.
Because she's 100 years old and she voted last election from here.
Can you see my? I said I want.
I just want to make sure you're not 126 years old.
No, I'm not.
And do you think it's possible like illegal migrants could be voting?
Not really.
Do you know where the ballots might have gone? Like for 108 people, that were registered here?
When it comes to fraud, most people think about money. However, there's another potential massive fraud story taking place in America, one tied to the most consequential system in our country, which is our voting system. This has to do with everything about who runs the country and how elections are actually controlled. And if we don't have voter integrity, what even are we? And there's one state that is the breeding ground for potential voting fraud, and that is California, where it can take up to 1 month to count all of the votes, no voter ID, and millions of ballots are cast by mail. And with voter rolls that are extremely vulnerable to errors, such as over 200 people who are over the age of 125 years old registered to vote in certain areas. And now to see how easy it is to vote, I headed to the location to register to vote inside the state of California. Now this is the register of voters right here. And I want to ask them, why don't you need voter ID to vote here inside of California? I was curious, how come in California you don't need voter ID to vote?
Because when you sign your affidavit, you're swearing that you're telling us the truth, and we compare the signature that you put on your application to the
Battery
signature.
65%.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it leaves any room for error with voter ID, or? Yeah, I'm just like curious because I want to make sure that like our elections are as fair and honest as possible. And I feel like voter ID is just something super simple to have. And do you think it's possible like illegal migrants could be voting?
Not really. How? I mean, what was showing the ID?
Yeah, if they don't have their ID and they could just sign on behalf of Richard Sherman, then they could technically vote, right?
They would be right.
Yeah, but what if they just don't care? What if like Richard Sherman and Billy Bob Joe just don't care? But so you don't think illegals would ever vote, would you?
I don't think so.
No.
Same.
So instead of showing your ID, you sign your signature and then it is scanned to verify it is you. So technically speaking, anyone could show up saying they are someone, and if the signature is similar, that vote will then count. And with millions of people voting, it leaves room for fraud to occur. Just take these 2 examples.
A Southern California woman is facing 5 felonies after registering her dog to vote in 2 elections. The dog's vote was even counted in one of those elections. Those behind the stunt say she did it to show the flaws of the current system.
Hundreds of people who cast votes according to state records, but we found they've been dead for years, including a woman who died in 1988, and records show she somehow voted in 2014. 26 years after she passed away. Then there's 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗏. Records show she voted in Norwalk in 2014, 2012, 2010, and 2008. The only problem is she's buried here at Forest Lawn. 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗏 died in 2006.
Yeah. So we got dead people voting as well. Thank you, Nick Shirley. But I wanted to start off with that and show all that is not only fraud going on, But those that are alive, our constitutional rights are just gone. They're gone. Okay. I don't want to say they're going or, oh, no, they're gone. We actually have a clause in the Bill of Rights in the Constitution that says you cannot write laws that contradict the freedoms. Can't write laws. But they're doing it. And they're allowing patents that go against the Constitution. All of this is insane and crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Now, I want to get to the Promethean update here really quick.
Everyone was watching the Iran clock and asking if bombs would fall. Well, a bomb did fall, but it was in the Senate Banking Committee where Fed Chair nominee 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗏 said he wants regime change at the Fed. Now, you probably didn't notice that because the press was focused on Senator Pocahontas calling 𝗧𝗏 a sock puppet for Donald Trump. Or you were being drawn into the social media storm about how Iran has Trump over a barrel. So you might have missed what is really going on. But the empire isn't missing it. On April 17th, the executive director of Britain's Chatham House asked this question: Iran, Pope, economy, how many battles can Trump fight at once? The answer is all of them, because they aren't separate battles. They're one war, a war against an imperial regime. Donald Trump knows it, and so does the empire. I'm Susan Kokinda, and I've known it too, tracking how the modern-day British Empire is the hand behind the catastrophes of recent decades. Now, people see and feel those catastrophes, but what they don't see is what is really behind them, and more important, how to defeat it.
Yeah, how to defeat it. And now there's another one I wanted to get into. Now, this is more about technology. I'm not going to play the whole video, but just enough of it. And then I just want to let you guys know I did outline the video for you with the steps to take.
Right now, not after this video, not tomorrow morning. Right now, while you're watching this, because what I am about to tell you is not a warning about some obscure security vulnerability that only affects a handful of people in specific countries. This is a warning about applications that are sitting on hundreds of millions of Android phones at this exact moment, including almost certainly yours, quietly running in the background, quietly collecting data about you, your family, your location, your voice, your face, and your financial behavior, and quietly sending all of that data to servers located in China. And I need you to understand something before we go any further. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm not saying this to get your watch time up. I'm saying this because the deadline is real, the threat is documented, and the window to act before things get significantly worse is closing, faster than most people realize.
Yes, the deadline is June 15th. I'm not going to play the entire video. I will link the video, though, so you guys can check it out. And again, I've outlined the steps that you need to take within the video. I did like a little Grok recap that you guys can delete these apps from your phone, because if you're not, it's not only collecting your data, it's sending it somewhere where you won't be able to retrieve it back. So we need to be careful and be mindful. Now, the last two videos I'm going to get into are the bioweapons from the WEF. I'm not going to go into the video with the car kill switch because we've already went over that, but Bandot video goes into a little bit further in depth about the car kill switch. It's like, what is going on? Don't buy these cars. Just don't buy them. And I know it's easier said than done, because some people, they work for corporations that have fleets and they'll end up driving these cars. Don't drive them. Don't drive them. Don't buy them. And, you know, there's a whole bunch of electric trucks over $100,000 that are sitting on lots that are rotting right now because no one wants them. Okay, we need to show as humans with our economic power that we don't have to do this at all. But I want to get into the WEF really quick.
Lone Star tick spreading all over the country that they admit now has this weaponized Lyme's disease that they declassified, the CIA created. That's the CIA declassified that about a month ago. We already knew decades ago and told you that. And they've added to it a beef allergy, another red meat allergy, so that if you get bitten by the tick, you become deathly ill or even die if you ever eat beef again. And then we have the WEF and UN 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, saying we're going to add this to ticks, and that way nobody can eat beef.
People eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But people,
and this is what they always say, it'll help the planet if you just stop being human, right? Some people eat meat, some people don't. It is a personal choice, but you should not be putting in biological weapons in people so they can't eat, so they don't have a choice. It's called slavery, y'all, and it needs to stop. But I want to thank you guys for joining me here on this Tell It All Tuesday. We will be back with our Women in Wellness Wednesday, and also a PSA. I'm going to be off air for about a week starting this Friday till next Friday. So I won't be back on air after Friday until May 11th. So I just wanted to put that out there. But I wanted to thank you guys for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.